Now, let me tell another story. I wasn't a part of this story. I read about it. I talked to people that were a part of it. Church in downtown Washington, D.C. The White House is a block and a half away. Can you picture this? What kind of a neighborhood do they have? There's the Senate office building. There's all these law firms, everything like this. There are no places to live within 10 blocks of this congregation. Great big Episcopal church, huge building. Almost every one of its members have to travel at least an hour or more just to get there, because they live, in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. Well, the pastors and the leaders of the congregation said, we can't just keep going on the way we are. They had a large endowment, but on a regular Sunday, they were lucky if 50 people showed up in a sanctuary that was big enough for 2,000. So they decided that they did have a neighborhood. You know who lived in it? Anybody have any ideas? Even more than the poor. Homeless. That's who lived in their neighborhood. Homeless people. So they believed that they had to minister, quote, to the homeless. Now, let's be fair to them. They didn't have a clue what that meant. Okay? They did know that especially on weekends, on Saturday and Sunday, homeless people usually went hungry. There aren't very many, if any, soup kitchens or food pantries that are open on weekends. So they decided that their ministry to the homeless would begin with a great big Sunday morning breakfast. Now, again, they had an edifice that could accomplish this. Had all kinds of entries into the lower level. Huge big kitchen and everything like this. It had these sliding walls. Walls that were like 20 feet high, but they would slide. So they could do all kinds of things with the space. So they announced that they were going to do this, and they said it's important for the congregation to come to this breakfast. Right after the breakfast would be a short Episcopal Mass. Okay? Picture that? How do you think it started? How well did it go at first? Have any guesses? Not very well. See, homeless people have learned not to trust do-gooders. You can't blame them. They never do much good. But homeless people didn't really trust them. So the first few times, most of the people at breakfast were members of the congregation from, the suburbs and everything like this. But they believed that they'd been called by God to do this. They stuck to it. As week went by to month and month after month, a few more homeless people came into breakfast and stayed for the worship afterward. Now, the worship was interesting because these were fairly staid Episcopalians. They knew when to stand up, when to sit down, what to say, and everything like that. And as soon as it was over, they knew when to leave. Well, homeless people, they think praying's important. And so the prayers started lasting 5 and 10 minutes, not just 1 or 2. Especially the Lord's Prayer, because, different people say it different rhythms, different ways. Lord's Prayer became quite a thing, because the homeless people that they were supposed to be serving started coming, and what were they doing? They were becoming a part of them. They had never thought about this. They kept at it. I think, if I remember right, that the membership almost doubled in 3 years. And about 40% of the doubling, of course, was homeless people. But now here's the final kicker to this true story. One day after the early worship service, 3 of the homeless men went to the head minister, said, "We need to talk with you. Can we come in and see you during the week?" He said, "Well, sure. When are you coming?" "We're coming Monday." That was the next day. So they just turned around and left. And so the minister was there in his office, and sure enough, on Monday, these 3 homeless men came to see him. They sat down. He tried to be nice. They said, no, we haven't got time. We got stuff we got to do. But we have a complaint. And the minister said, oh, no. What's your complaint? He said, well, we've come to some of the other worship services here. And the minister said, yeah, we've been really glad about that. You feel free to come to any of the worship services. You come to some of the adult education courses. That's wonderful. And they said, yeah, but you ask for an offering at all the other worship services. Why don't you ask for an offering from us? The minister was caught completely off guard. He didn't know what to say. He said, well, I guess we didn't want to embarrass you if you didn't have any money. And they laughed at him. They said, you think you could embarrass homeless people? You embarrassed us when you didn't even ask. Do you get it? Everything was changed. It started off poorly. They didn't even know how to do it, but they kept at it. Lives were changed in both directions. When they wrote it up, they said part of what it means to minister to people is to become one with them. No more charity. No more do-gooding. Lives need to be changed, and the lives of the givers need to be changed too. And the only way that ever happens is with commitment. Say it again. Commitment. Now, can you envision ways in your own life? Remember, this is Lent. We're supposed to be looking at our own lives. How about some commitments you've made but not kept? How about some commitments you haven't made that you know you should? Or how about this? Making a commitment doesn't mean you have to become stupid. There are some commitments we make and we fulfill, and we need to move on because everything we could have done has been accomplished, you know what I mean? So sort some of those out in your own life too. Are there things I continue to do because I said I'm going to do it, that it's doing no one, probably including your own self, any good? How about for us as a faith community? Time of new beginnings. What can we look toward to give some passion and some commitment to in terms of